Yeah, Don Harry got another Maine story for you. This one's about a dairy farmer up there in Cumberland County, and he'd been at it for about 30 years. He was turning about 55 years old. He was too young to retire, he thought, and too old to continue dairy farming. He was just getting sick of it. You know, he kind of tied to the cow titties, he figured, and you're just milking twice a day, whether you feel like it or not, whether you're tired or not, whether it's holidays or whether you're sick, you just can't even get out of bed. You still got to get out of bed and milk them cows. He had 400 or 500 of them, about moderate size, and he'd never gone bust. He'd never gotten rich. He just made a living at it, you know. And he'd managed to put his 2 kids through college. His daughter had become a lawyer. Thought she'd been happy doing that, and he doubted it. You know, he figured she'd come to her senses 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. She probably will. And his son was down there in Wall Street, you know, making money hand over fist. Neither of them wanted to inherit the farm, and so they figured they'd just sell it, and they bought themselves a house down by the river, and he had himself a pontoon boat. He'd go fishing, but you know, it's kind of boring, you know. He didn't know what to do with himself. He and his wife, they wanted a little adventure. So someone suggested, you know, you could become an independent truck driver. You could finance your own rig and travel the country, you and your wife. You know, she'd drive with you, and it's air-conditioned comfort. Them big rigs, you know, they're just beautiful, and you could do that. And that sounded a pretty good idea to him. So he looked up, did a little research, you know, and he joined a truck driving school. Of course, he's in there with all 20-year-olds and 20-somethings. They called him the old man, you know, teasing for it, but he hung in there. And when it come time to graduate, the instructors were a little bit nervous about sending him out on the road because of his age, I guess, they thought his judgment might be a little off, and it was kind of unfair of him thinking that way about it. But they said, we want to give him a little final test, you know, see what his judgment's like. And so they brought him in the room, 2 of the instructors, and said, listen, we're going to give you a hypothetical situation, you know, and sort of as a final test to see how you do in a real-life situation. We're just going to set it up for you and see how you'd answer. And he said, okay, said, fair enough, sure. And he says, like, suppose you got your rig down there in the hills of West Virginia, and you got 40,000 pounds of flour in the back of the rig there, and you're headed down into a valley, and it's kind of one of them flat-bottom valleys when it goes up the other side, and it's early in the morning, there's nobody out on the road, and you decide that you don't want to downshift heading up the other side of the valley. And so you get yourself going about 80 miles an hour and down in the bottom of that valley, and so that you don't have to downshift coming up the other side. And he said, okay. And you're going pretty good. You're about halfway up the other side of the valley, you're not going to have to downshift, and when an old beat-up pickup truck comes out of the side road and pulls out in front of you, he goes, what? He said, now listen, this is the hypothetical. You decide to take a chance, and you pull out around them. Now, you know you're not supposed to. You're passing on a hill. But, you know, life such as it is, you do something, maybe it's a little dumb, but you do it, because that's real life. Now, you look on your right, and there's the truck. You look on your left, and there's a rock wall. And then coming over the hill at 70 miles an hour is a fully loaded oil tanker coming at you because he's going to come down the hill trying to do the same damn thing that you're doing. Now, what you going to do? Well, he thought for a second, and he said, well, the first thing I'd do in a situation like that is I'd wake up Doris. They kind of scowled at each other and says, who the heck is Doris? He said, well, it's a hypothetical situation. Doris is my wife. She hypothetically been traveling with me for years now, and I'd want to wake her right up. She's asleep in the sleeper cabin there behind me and snoozing, and I'd want to wake her right up real quick. He said, well, okay, fair enough. Why would you do that? He says, well, old Doris, she's seen a lot of things in her life, but she ain't never seen a spectacular wreck like this one's bound to be.